What's going on, guys? It's no secret, the NFL has turned into a giant, and the fans simply can't get enough of it. So as a result, the NFL has reinvested millions of dollars into a variety of production tools to increase the viewing experience, both for the fans in the stadium and of course the loyal viewers at home. In the case of the viewers at home, the NFL wants to keep its advertisers happy and make sure that they can keep as many people at home tuned in as they possibly can. So a big focus over the past 25 years has been the including of high-definition cameras. Not only are the high-def cameras the standard now, there are also an endless amount of them, featuring a bevy of different angles, speeds, and viewpoints. It's to the point that there isn't a single square foot of stadium that can't be caught on tape by the TV network's arsenal of cameras. The results have been positive. It puts the NFL's talent on display in a way that has never been seen before. Now we can see exactly where the receiver's feet landed, or how he contorted his body to make a grab. It's insane. But there have been some ricochet shots that have come as a result of the increase in cameras and cameras quality. Now everyone in the stadium, players, fans, coaches, all of them are at risk of being caught in an embarrassing freeze-frame shot. It's just impossible to avoid these compromising images. It's the luck of the draw, really. So let's take a look at the 28 most hilarious freeze frames. Hopefully we don't end up in the next edition of this video. Make sure to subscribe to TPS and put on your notifications. We post videos all the time. New videos all the time, subscribe. Number 28, the moon rises over this NFC matchup. Well, you have to kind of feel for Bears cornerback Kyle Fuller on this one. Fuller just wanted to make a play, and as you can clearly see, he was successful, but his pants joined the ball on the ground. To make it all worse, the camera panned over for a perfect moonshot. Number 27, it's not what it looks like, I swear. Who among us have not had to have this discussion before, where an innocent transaction ends up looking questionable at best? Well, that is exactly what this NFL referee fell victim to, as his good job quickly turned into more of a "you come here often?" Number 26, well, what do we have here? I'll be honest with you. From the angle of the freeze frame, I can't quite discern exactly which Houston Texan player this is, but that might be for the best, especially if he has a significant other at home who happens to just stumble across this. Because while I'm sure the celebration started off wholesome, that is some questionable hand placement. Number 25, who's on first? A wonderful modern day iteration of the famous Abbott and Costello skit here. Maybe it would have suited these officials better to have held one of their little huddles or, something to discuss what exactly they were calling. But instead, this is the NFL, the multi-billion-dollar sporting league that can't seem to get its officiating right. So we have this timeless image of two refs making the exact opposite call with the utmost conviction. Number 24, bad visual for being a relatively handsome fellow. Jay Cutler may have the most extensive collection of bad visuals known to man. It's insane. The same man that looks suave and aloof walking around the set of his model wife's reality show more often than not finds himself in these precarious situations. Just JB and J, I guess. Number 23, Fletcher Cox is number 91, sir. Another case of the referees getting a wee bit handsy with the players. Not sure what to make of this one. The only thing working in the official's favor is that he clearly has his eyes down the field, so it might just be incidental contact. Still, 15 yards, automatic first down. Number 22, 'tis the season. I'll spare you the details, but there was a highly popularized activity that the camera appeared to have caught these two Colts embroiled in. Obviously, it is just an angle, but that shouldn't stop both of their respective friend groups from getting fathead cutouts of these for the two gentlemen. Number 21, a fan is overcome with excitement. Listen, it happens to all of us. Sometimes we get a little too hyped up, and we dedicate so much time to these teams, and we just can't really control our emotions. But in the case of this fan, maybe he should figure out how to control it, or watch the games from home or something. Number 20, gather around the campfire. Gather around the campfire and sing our campfire song. RCAMPFARES1G song NFSR. Okay. There's something inherently hilarious about this picture. I don't know if it's the fact that the scoreboard shows Philly up by 24 points, or the immeasurable casualness with which Nick Foles is planted on the Redskins lineman. It sure looks like something interesting is going down on the other side of the field though. Number 19, Cabo Tony is back. I can't give credit to the NFL's new HD cameras or the billion different camera angles that they've worked into the production. This is just a good old-fashioned production error gone completely right. The team behind the scenes was trying to put up a graphic of how often Tony Romo had been pressured, but it lined up right over the back of number 81 and creates the illusion of Tony Romo demanding to speak to the retail salesman manager. Talk about sass. Number 18, tactical towel. If you follow the NFL at all, I'm sure you have heard of the terrible towels. It's what they sport down in Pittsburgh for home games. But have you heard of the tactical towel? Unfortunately, this Chargers staffer does, as he had the pleasure of playing coverage for Nick Novak, who was preparing for a big kick. The production team must not have gotten the memo that Novak was, occupied as they panned over to the kicker right when he was in the middle of the deed. Number 17, classic Eli face. Okay, Eli Manning is not nearly as cool as Jay Cutler, but that doesn't make this mug any less entertaining. The camera always seems to find Manning making a goofy face, and in this case, it was paired with a brutal graphic. At least he'll always have those 2 Super Bowl rings to fall back on as he waltzes into Canton. Number 16 is he a Rams fan? Alright, I know it's important to respect your elders. I get that, and I do. But who let this guy out of the house looking like this? Maybe it was just a windy day, or he was an overenthusiastic Rams fan. But this one is just brutal. Number 15, typo? Hopefully. This one has nothing to do with the cameras, but instead, a typo on the ticker. At least I hope it was a typo. Otherwise, Philip Rivers should definitely see a doctor, or a scientist even. Number 14, I feel something in my back. Okay, maybe I stand corrected. The camera crew caught Philip Rivers making one of the strangest faces I think I've ever seen. So maybe I owe the ticker typer an apology. That is so much fun to say. Ticker typer, ticker typer, ticker typer. All jokes aside, Rivers is one of the most competitive quarterbacks we've seen. And as a result, we have gotten some hilarious freeze frames of his face through his career. Number 13, family-friendly props only. Jacksonville isn't necessarily the decorum capitale of the US, and these die-hard Jags fans were determined to remind us all of that. I tend to fall on the side of wrong place, wrong time, but it looks like the camera panned towards them, and they were ready for the spotlight. It's unclear exactly what the fan on the left is holding up, but it is pretty obvious what he wants it to be. Nice, good job. Fun times with the fans. Number 12, Earth to Al Michaels. Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth have been up in the booth for what feels like eons. They've become a staple of what it means to watch football in America, at least on NBC. But with all of the time and experience that these two have up there, you'd think that they would be prepared for the camera to cut back to them and be ready to go. Instead, we end up with this glorious shot of Michaels staring into the abyss, while Collinsworth looking like he might have left the stove on.
Did I leave the stove on?
It just goes to show, anyone can get in the NFL freeze frame game. Number 11, tough timing. In life, sometimes things line up the exact wrong way. And that is exactly what happened on this freeze frame. Right as the camera catches the Giants player turning to get up, it looks like his hand is deep in the lap of the Cowboys receiver. To make matters worse, the receiver turns directly into the crotch of a different Giants player. Talk about a string of bad luck for one of Jerry's boys. But then again, Jerry's got his own crotch to deal with, so, whatever. Number 10, horns up. Brett Favre will always be remembered for 2 things: his electric gunslinger quarterbacking on the field, and his off-the-field shortcomings that came to light following an unfortunate turn of events during his short stint in New York. It looks like the production team was looking to change that narrative with the way they set up this graphic. An interesting choice to say the least. Number 9, Christmas spirit is alive and well in Kansas City. At first glance, you can't tell exactly when this AFC West matchup is being played, but I think we have a pretty safe guess it was somewhere around the holiday season. I'm not sure if this is a corny Christmas joke or a genuine error, but after looking at that stat line, the Chiefs could use a little holiday vacation. Number 8, honesty hurts. Here we have another freeze frame featuring a disparaging graphic. I'm assuming this was ahead of the Broncos-Jaguars matchup, in the middle of Peyton Manning's impressive twilight run in Denver. When he was casually lighting up the scoreboard, throwing for more than 50 touchdowns fresh off neck surgery, as a 37-year-old. The Jags, on the other hand, well, they have long set the standard for inadequacy in the NFL, and this graphic just poured some fuel on the fire. Number 7, home field advantage activate. Okay, this one is just some good wholesome fun. The Packers are beating the Lions, as per usual, this time by a score of 34-13. The game was in Green Bay, so no real surprise here. Fox put a graphic at the bottom, summarizing the highlights of the day, and it's hilarious. After touching on what 2 of the actual players did out there, the summary transitions to a point about the fans as it reads, lots of signs and hats. Now, if that doesn't sound like the Lambeau faithful, I don't know what does. Anyways, great job to the fans out there. Keep bringing lots of signs and hats, and cheeseheads. Number 6, the 90s Cowboys in a nutshell. Oh, Michael Irvin, a generational talent at receiver, a legend, if you will. One of the most colorful characters that sports media has to offer. In this one, the camera does a great job in catching his intense passion for the game. It's just not quite as glamorous as a still shot. Number 5, looking sharp. NFL players typically have a certain mechanismo to them. Is that a real word? I don't know. After all, they are some of the world's very best athletes. So it makes sense that they would be big, brooding, tough guys. And in reality, many of them are. But that's what makes this freeze frame so perfect. The camera catches him with his 1800 styles glasses resting ever so gently on his nose and his mouth puckered, looking all sorts of confused. If you ignore the massive frame that continues from the neck down, you'd have no idea what kind of beast you were squaring up against. Number 4, JJ. I think you forgot something. When JJ Watt is healthy, he is one of the most ferocious, exciting players in all of football. His ability to single-handedly disrupt the opposing offense is near unmatched. The only problem, injuries injuries have nagged him his whole career. Here's a freeze frame that fits the narrative perfectly. It offers some clarity as to why he might run into some injury issues. I mean, his helmet is not even in the shot, yet there he is, charging headstrong into the quarterback. At least it created a pretty hilarious still shot. Number 3, Ma, the meatloaf. I'm pretty bad at that impression, so here's the real thing.
Ma, the meatloaf!
What's so great about these still shots is that they are completely without context. In this case, there might have been an epic tackle in the open field, or a game-changing sack that preceded the shot, or maybe he's just thrilled about what's on the menu for dinner. The world may never know. Number 2, when is lunch break? Vince Wilfork made his money in the NFL as a human wrecking ball, plugging up any holes that the opposing offensive line tried to muster up against the defense he led. Unsurprisingly, given his build, after football he has continued to make money on food and barbecue-related sponsorship deals. Looks like he was getting a head start on his new career while still in New England, as he sits there licking his lips, wondering when the game will be over so he can fire up the grill. Number 1, so Patrick, you like ketchup? An underrated part of making it as a head coach in the NFL is finding a way to be relatable with your players. Andy Reid has long had a reputation for being one of the most enjoyable coaches to play for, especially if you are on the offensive side of the ball. But even as one of the all-time best players coaches, I'm sure as he's gotten older and as a new generation of players has entered the league, surely it has presented the longtime coach with new challenges in being relatable. That's what makes this shot so great. It shows him and his stud quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, just chopping it up about God knows what. Both looking frozen cold and equally uncomfortable. You have to assume that Reid tried to break the ice by talking about Mahomes' favorite condiment. I mean, what else would you talk about? There's not an NFL game happening, come on. Which do you think is the best freeze frame shot of all time? Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to follow myself and TPS on social media. We post great content all the time. TikTok. I make TikToks and go, follow me because that'd be dope. They're pretty good, yeah, so go follow. Also Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, everything. Just go follow us, go subscribe. We're everywhere. Subscribe to TPS on, YouTube because we post videos every single day. Sports content every day. Why would you not want that? You definitely just subscribed. I know, I saw you do that. You eating cereal. Captain Crunch. Yeah, I see you. Make sure to like this video because it really helps us out. We really appreciate it. Takes one click, just do it. It's right next to the subscribe button you just hit. Of course, thank you so much for watching. I'm Jason Biondo. Freeze frame!